Hi everyone, Coach Sullivan here again with MJS Coaching Football. Excuse me. To my subscribers, say thank you, and to those who haven't yet, I really hope you do. I just completed my 38th year coaching football as a defensive coordinator, but during that span, I've also been an offensive coordinator, special teams coordinator, longtime head coach, and all of this at both the collegiate and high school levels. In this presentation, I want to talk to you about one of our field boundary blitz concepts, no, Firestone or Bridgestone, okay, versus two wide receivers. And this is huge. Ball on the hash only out of our base. Okay, so I'll give you this, non-subscribers. When we're in base, we always have two high safeties and minimum box numbers. But after that, you got to push the button, subscribe. Doesn't cost anything. All right, so momentarily, I'll go through Firestone on top, Bridgestone on the bottom versus two wide receivers and how that determines who's blitzing and what the blitz is. It's all predetermined. What's not predetermined is who's blitzing, okay, until the offense comes out and lets us know that by how many wide receivers there are. So that's a big part of this presentation. So first term, ball in the hash. Well, why does it have to be ball in the hash? Well, it's a field boundary blitz concept. So when the ball's on the hash, that's as definitive a landmark as we can get. Every offense I've ever coached against has a field and a boundary tendency out of personnel groups. Okay, so like up top, I'm going to show you out of a 10 personnel group in formation, on the bottom out of an 11. Okay, more often than not, their tendencies to field and boundary vary by positional group. Okay. Firestone is a plug blitz to the big field. Now, I say big field because I don't want to assume that everybody would know when I said we're coming from the field that it meant over here. But to us, that's what it means. When ball's on the hash, you have field and you have boundary. Okay, short side of the field. But that's why I'm using big field for now. Okay, I think as we go through this, I just say we're coming from the field, it'll start to make sense. If it doesn't already, it might already. So plug blitz to the big field when it's versus two wide receivers, it's the outside linebacker. Okay? The blitz that either outside linebacker would execute is what we call rodeo or lasso. Okay? So it's the outside linebacker call side plug in B gap. Rodeo's the rover, lasso's the dime. So I'll bring all that into play with you as we start over here in the diagram. Okay? And then Bridgestone's the plug blitz from the boundary. All right, short side of the field. Again, when it's two wide receivers, it's the outside linebacker. And it's the same. So rodeo lasso is the same blitz. Okay, and so again, to the question of why don't we just call rodeo or lasso? Well, when I tell the kids, because I make the call, we're coming from the field, and then we tell them it's going to be a Firestone, we still don't know which plug it's going to be until the offense shows us based upon how many wide receivers they have in the formation to the field. That's why. Okay? Same thing. We don't know how many wide receivers they're going to be into the boundary until they line up. Okay? So I can't just pre-call rodeo or lasso for that reason. Okay? So two wide receivers, the best plug for us is coming from the outside linebacker. Okay? In terms of getting maximum coverage, see, we're in base. This gives us the ability to add to the box. Okay? And non-subscribers, if you see the presentation on Firestone, Bridgestone versus one wide receiver, it's a whole different position that's executing the plug. Okay? So this is the key elements to Firestone, Bridgestone versus two wide receivers. So now let's bring it to life over here on the diagram. So up top, ball's on the left hash as it is on the bottom. Okay? Up top, we got two wide receivers to the field. It's a rip. We also have two wide receivers into the boundary because it's what we call 10 gun Detroit pistol. No tight ends, four wide receivers, four wide. Down on the bottom, okay, Ball's in the same hash. We have one wide receiver to field. We have two into the boundary because it's a fib, formation into boundary. Okay, it's an 11 gun Dallas pistol. So see, it's a different personnel group. All right, so therefore now it's a Liz. Formation into boundary is not all that uncommon. And again, that more than likely factors into the team's boundary tendencies. Okay, so that goes back to what I said earlier. All right, so up here, when I tell the kids we're coming from field and we show them the signboard Firestone, so why do we call it Firestone? That's a tire brand. Tires have plugs that are needed sometimes when you get holes. They have the air gauge. You plug, you put the air in, right? Same with Bridgestone. Firestone begins with an F. Field. Bridgestone begins with a B. Boundary. It's the same concept. It involves plugs, the way of thinking. So it just name and word association. That's how we do it in our program. Okay? So as soon as they know it's coming from field, they're screaming, Ringo, Ringo, Ringo. Once they determine that there are two wide receivers, before you hear Roger, you're going to hear Reno, which is the code name for the rover, and he's going to scream rodeo, rodeo, Reno, rodeo, Reno, rodeo. Okay, and then now the safeties that'll trigger Roger, Roger, Roger. Okay, so you see hot on two, hot on one, right? I'm going to get to the safeties in a second. That's our trio or zone blitz coverage. So non-subscribers, you're going to have to hit that button. Okay, so you can go to my zone blitz coverage on the whiteboard playlist because I'm only going to go over safeties and I'll explain what maybe means with the inside linebackers, but that's it. Okay, I'm not getting into any other specifics. All right, so when it's an outside linebacker, there are no snap indicators necessary because the outside linebackers don't move. They blitz from where they are. Okay, and in this particular instance, both are what we call detached. Okay, they're not a part of the box. They're detached. All right, so they will blitz from their detached alignment. So that makes it simple. So now, right, on the snap of the football, defensive end on the side of the call. Ringo, it's rodeo. Slant C, nose. Slants A to the call. Rover. Plugs B gap. Okay? Remember, this is a plug. And again, non-subscribers, plug family introduction. It's a B gap to B gap. That's it. You're welcome. There's a little free information. So now what happens, right? We hear Reno, rodeo, triggers the Roger. Free safety on the snap of the football who's lined up 1x12 Ike inside of number 2. That's his rule. On the snap of the football, he screws down, and now he's hot on 2. The whip, okay, on the snap, rotates middle third. There it is. The safety spin in the direction of the blitz. So we're sound, right? Who's available to blitz? Who's available to cover? Now you see it, right? We went from a 1, 2, 3, 5-man box to a 6-man box, +1. It's a beautiful thing. Okay, what's meant by maybe, both inside linebackers are comboing the running back. Maybe Mike and backer. Maybe he comes to me, maybe he comes to you. Okay, again, non-subscribers, you're going to have to push that button. But that's Firestone versus 2 wide receivers. There it is. Okay, boom. Done. So again, I can't call rodeo, or I don't want to call rodeo, because the field boundary concept is predicated on how many wide receivers there are. And in this case, they got 2, 5 yards or wider from the tackle, which is the rule. Well, hey, there you go, non-subscribers. A little bit of free information. So now down here, again, ball's on the same left hash. Now it's 11 personnel, so we know it's 11. We have our plan. So I tell the kids we're going in the boundary. We show them the board. It's Bridgestone. Okay, Bridgestone. So the kids are screaming lucky as soon as they saw it was coming from the boundary. Now they're screaming Bridgestone. The offense comes out, right? They go fib, formation into boundary. The dime in this case screams Daytona, lasso. Daytona, lasso. So now it triggers Louis. Louis. So again, on the snap, defensive end call side, slant C, nose, slant A to the call, dime, plug B gap. There it is. Boom, done. Rodeo lasso, complementary. Rodeo, R rover, lasso. I know it's not a D, but it's the same thing. In a rodeo, they use a lasso. It's the dime. Okay. So again, what's involved in this is we would have had to have already installed both rodeo and lasso, which we install on the same day, before we can talk about Firestone, Bridgestone versus two wide receivers. Okay. So now, hot on tight end, right? Hot on one, hot on one. He's hot on two. Okay, it's a Louis on the snap from here. He screws down, and now he is hot on two from there. On the snap, he rotates middle third. Sorry I hadn't written that. But there it is. Okay, and again, the maybe. Two inside linebackers combo the running back. All right. So as I said earlier, what's involved in our field boundary concept, which is why ball has to be on the hash. It's the only time we call a field boundary blitz, is because an offense has definitive tendencies to the field and to the boundary. Offensive have definitive tendencies to the field and boundary based upon personnel group 10, 11. Okay, and then our executing the plug blitz, in this case, Firestone, Bridgestone as a plug, is based upon how many wide receivers are. Whenever there are two on the side of the call, it's the outside linebacker. And whenever it's the outside linebacker, it's a rodeo lasso. That's it. So we're not reinventing the wheel. It's not anything extra blitz. It's not something specially created just for Firestone, Bridgestone. It's blitzes we already have in. And every time we run a rodeo lasso, it's trio. So see, I don't mind telling you that. Now it's just a matter of empowering your kids to recognize the wide receivers. They recognize who's blitzing, call out the blitz, make sure we got the safety spinning to cover things up, make sure we're screaming maybe. All right, and you can do all this in practice so easily. We do it in meetings. We finish up in meetings after we've installed field boundary concept. And we do it piecemeal versus one wide receiver, now two. And then we do it from a meeting, we come together. Then we do it in a walkthrough, if we have a walkthrough that day. And then even if it's in part of practice, it's a walkthrough. We do everything. Today, everything's on the left hash. The next day, everything's on the right hash. And until the kids prove they got it down pat up here, do we start doing it, executing at full speed? And we're doing it still on air, so to speak, without any plays coming at them, just giving them a chance to execute. All right. So as I said at the beginning, to my subscribers, I thank you. To non-subscribers, I hope I made the point. Push the button. It doesn't cost a thing. But to everyone, please reach out to me, Coach MJ Sullivan at gmail.com. It's starting to happen. When it does, I'm learning a ton. I hope I'm helping the other person I'm talking with. That's the name of the game. We should be helping each other. And thanks to this format, right, and YouTube, eternally grateful. We have the opportunity to help each other out. So please, love to hear from you.